Boop, boop, boop. All right, we are live. I love that it puts the little thing up. Hi, guys. Welcome back to a new episode of Wired Differently. You've got Christina Blue Hooper, your business designer, Victoria Caldwell, your fractional COO, and Mindset Melanie Branch over here, your mindset coach. Today, we are tackling a little bit different of a subject this week, but it's very, very, very important. We're tackling setbacks to comebacks, how to flip the script on life's little surprises. So we get curveballs as people, as entrepreneurs all the time. But as entrepreneurs, we have to get back to, some version of normal much faster because we've got people counting on us. We've got teams reporting to us. We've got clients that are waiting on us. We've got, you don't really get traditional breaks like you would in like most jobs, or you get more breaks than you would in some jobs, I guess. But we have to approach this a little bit differently, and it's very important. So,
all
right, let me.
Very important topic.
I'm going to queue up one of our first questions we've got here. How do we turn a setback into a setup for a comeback? So, like, once you've immediately, you've gotten that setback, you've had that bad thing happen, you've just caught that curveball. What are some things you can do as soon as you've caught that curveball to help set the stage for being able to come back a little bit faster, to recover a little bit faster, to get back to a new normal a little bit faster? I'm going to tag Melanie in on this because this is kind of like more of her area of specialties a little bit more. So I'm going to tag her in first, and then me and Victoria will chime in after that.
I would say the most important thing is to be kind to yourself and not let your inner critic run away with the script of what this means, right? We've all had, somebody unexpectedly pass away in our life, or some crazy thing just that you did not see coming happen. And if you're going to be really hard on yourself and say, well, that means that I can't even do this. So I can't even do this launch now. And we can't assume the worst. Because that's what's most likely going to happen then. And also, by the way, every time you've ever imagined something going really, really badly, has it ever gone that badly? It's never gone as bad as it does in your head. So don't give your inner critic that power over you.
Yeah, I like that one. And what about you, Victoria? What do you think? What is some of the best things you can do to set up for a comeback?
One is pause and breathe, because a lot of times what we like to do is we freak out. We freak out and we let the anxiety, we let all the negative thoughts take over. We assign meaning to it that, as Melanie said, most of the time we let ourselves go wild. So pause, breathe. And then it's something that I like to do is, it's kind of a mixture of something I learned from a coach. And she said, everything is always working out for me. So you're repeating this every day. Everything is always working out for me. And then to sit and find, just even if it's a creative activity for you, to sit and focus that energy on finding the opportunities in it. What can I do? Like, we had this setback, what appeared to be a setback last week, but it wasn't. It actually wasn't. And if you wanted to go into detail, that's on you. So it's an opportunity to do better, or sometimes it's a redirection, depending on what it is. If you know that everything is always working out for you, then you can actually say, wow, how can this be positive? And it's not the easiest thing to do.
No,
the easiest thing to do, but it's better to train yourself than to take yourself down the rabbit hole of suffering twice. I think we had one of those conversations before, like.
Yeah, that's one of the things Melanie taught me, is when you stress about something or you think about how bad it could be, you're experiencing it twice as many times as you would need to. Because even if the bad thing happened, you lived in this moment where it was going to happen, and then it happened and you lived it twice. Or it didn't happen at all and you lived it once when you needed to live it none, right? So you experience it twice as much as you should. Yeah. I like both of those, though, to take that pause, to take that moment, and to, give yourself grace, give yourself permission. So that was the inspiration for this week's episode. Was my father passed away suddenly last Tuesday. So that's why we didn't do our episode last week. And those were some of I took both of those pieces of advice as we're going through that, as we're experiencing that as a family. Like, even after it happened and, the coroner's the funeral home's carrying him away, we all went back to bed. We paused. It happened at like 3:30 in the morning, and the whole family was we were exhausted. We were stressed. We were sad. We were reeling, and we paused. We just paused. We said, everything will still be waiting on us to deal with it whenever we, get a little bit more rest. But, we got woken up in the middle of the night. Most of us had only been asleep for 2-3 hours. So we went back to bed. We paused. And, we beat ourselves up a little bit, but then throughout the day, we worked on it. By the end of the day, we were giving ourselves grace. We knew we did everything we could. There was nothing more we could have done. And we gave ourselves that grace that we did our best. We did the best we could. Right. And there was so much comfort in that, and so many lessons in that we did try our best. We did the best we could. Yeah. And that provided just instant relief to know that. So I think that's even before the bad things happen. If you're doing your best, then when bad things happen, you can recover a little bit faster. So I think even before the bad things happen, you can set yourself up for that by knowing what your best is. And that's not 110%. Some days you only have 30%. Yeah. And if you gave your best on a 30% day, that looks like giving 30%. Right. Every day is not 100% day.
It's a 25% day.
Yeah. It's like if all I had that day was 25%, then, it's what I gave.
In a house of neurodivergent people too, that in a crisis emergency situation, everybody was cool and calm. Everybody figured out their role. Everybody figured out what it was to do. And then when the crisis is over, that's when we go, am I supposed to grieve now? Am I supposed to, what are the next steps? Because now there's not all this pressure on me and I don't know how I'm supposed to behave. And I'll tell you what, grief really shows you who's in your corner and who was just there for the good times.
Oh no, that's been a huge one. Like, here, I'll pop our next question up. How do you simply accept support and blessings from the people that care about you? That was one thing that I really, I even recall after a couple of days just mentioning to David, I have just said thank you. I am just saying thank you. And that is, anybody who knows me, anytime anybody tries to help me out or offer to help me out, I'm like, no, you don't have to. It's okay. We got it. No, it's fine. I don't want to be a burden on anybody. I don't want to be an imposition on anybody. I want to feel like I can do it and I can do all the things. So and David, when I mentioned that to David, he's like, yeah, I had the same thing happen. He's like, this guy that I work with was like, I want to send you guys some money so you can get some food, not have to worry about cooking and things like that. He goes, and David's like, yeah, I just said thank you. He's like, normally I wouldn't have done that. So me and David were doing the same thing at the same time, but we didn't have a conversation about it ahead of time. We were just in alignment. The kids were doing the same thing. They were, their bio dad and stepmom offered to come, pick them up the next day and let them process away from me, because obviously they needed that. They needed friends, they needed family, they needed people they could talk to that aren't right in the middle of the thick of it. And so we did that, we just said thank you. We just said thank you so many times. I'm still saying thank you. As I got my little emotional support chickies in the mail yesterday from all my people that care about me and are taking care of me, and now they're all here to support me and they're sitting on my desk. Just saying thank you. Just it was weird to do, but we had so many people that stepped up and helped. So many people that stepped up and helped that it blew me away. It just blew me away.
Yeah. And Victoria and I have different views on why it's so important to be able to receive. And when she said hers, I was like, I never even thought about that. But Victoria's like, you don't want to take that ability to help you away from somebody. That's how some people process their shit when they're arm's length away from tragedy, is they say, oh, I can step in and I can help, right? I don't think that, I'll just step in and help. I just say, where do I send the money? And I'll text you and be like, what's going on? Really? For real? What's going on? Tell me, because you can unload it on me. Because I believe you want to be able to receive so that all these things that we're working so hard for, when they arrive, you're able to be like, yeah, come on in. Absolutely. Because if you're still stuck in that mindset of no, I don't need help. It's okay. I don't want to burden you. The universe can't deliver anything. Right. You're going to be saying, no, that's the wrong address. I didn't order that. No way. It can't possibly be for me. So there's so many reasons to allow yourself to be like, yes, absolutely. I'll take the help. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think that was one of the things that helped my aunt was being able to help, because she was still pretty close to my dad. She came and visited him. And, after his last hospital trip, she actually got a chance to come up here while he was doing better and had just seen him like the Saturday before. So she got to actually spend some time with him, and she was coming up and helping with things and bringing food. And I think it, to Victoria's point, that was what helped her to process and work through it, was coming up here and helping us. My mother-in-law came and helped me clean out his room and has like magical cleaning powers that I now need to learn, because the way it's cleaned is intense. And I thought I was a good little OCD cleaning person, but like she just ran circles around me in that room and got everything cleaned out for me really fast. It was just, we've had so many good things happen from people that are just like, thank you and condolences, and we're thinking about you, and things like that, to sending us money, to sending us gifts, to, Victoria had pizza sent to my house the day he died. We ate on that for like 3 days, by the way. You sent us so much pizza that even with the 4 of us, we ate on it for like 3 days. So you fed us multiple meals, not just one.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was like, and that was the only thing for so I don't lose my black card. It was the only thing that was deliverable.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot out here. We're like I think there's like 1 or 2 stoplights in the whole town that I live in. So there's not a whole lot.
Where's the
out
food?
Here? But they sent it with 2 people. You sent so much food, 2 different people delivered it. They came back to back.
Because I sent that and I was just like, oh, maybe that's not enough. And so
I was like, we got everything from the one guy, and then another guy pulled up, and I'm like, how much food do we need? It was breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a couple of days, and then my aunt was bringing up food, so we're all feeling the bloating and the extra 15 pounds from all the junk food we've eaten in the last week. Really made us aware of all the work we've done on our diets and on our bodies and on ourselves when we went off the rails on it for about a week. And now even David's like, we made mac and cheese for dinner last night. He's like, it's too heavy. Like, I don't want the mac and cheese.
Yeah. After about a week of that, because it's like, people bring food, but it's just how people, they want to help. And they want to be there, and they want to support. And so it's healing. You allowing other people to help is help. It's helpful to you, but it's also helpful to the ones who want to do it. Now, there are plenty who you won't be able to find.
Well, I think a lot of us, we tend to take it as a sign that we're not capable. We can't do it enough. Like, oh, you're sending me food. That means I'm not capable of feeding my family. Like, I can feed my family, like I know stuff happened, but I can make things happen, and I think a lot of times that's some of where it comes from when we're kind of putting down help and we're not accepting that help, is it's like, feels like somebody's saying that we couldn't do it. And that's not it at all. It just means we don't have to.
And that's a trauma response.
It's also our trauma response.
Really is. It's a trauma.
I love how both of you were thinking that at the same time. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of times we are used to things coming with strings. If somebody does something nice for us, then we expect that we're going to have to do something in return. And it kind of works that way, but it doesn't feel like it when you've got friends and family members and people you care about. Like, if they do things for you, when they have a moment, you need to do things for them. So kind of, but they're not being nice because they expect you to do things back. That's just what people do. And learning, having that many people in my life that were just that giving. And like, I don't think I have had this many good people in my life before. You know what I mean? Like, and it really, knowing what to say sometimes is kind of hard. So I said what I could. I said, thank you. And I put little blue hearts on, Slack messages and Facebook messages and text messages. And like, I was just so trying to figure out what to do and not really able to talk too much, or not, like, I didn't have energy to pour into conversations, but I did I just said, thank you. And I did little blue hearts. And for everybody who knows me, that was enough, right? That was enough. They knew that I felt it. They knew I appreciated it. So, I mean, if you're struggling with that, I would say, like, thank you is a full sentence.
It's enough.
Thank you is enough, right?
It's
Just say
enough.
thank you. Just say thank you. Every time somebody, if you're going through a moment, if you're having a hard time in your life and people are stepping up to help, just say thank you when they offer.
Yeah.
Like, it has made this last week so much more manageable that we just said thank you.
Yeah.
So much more manageable. And I think that leads really good into one of our next questions that we've got here. So there's one thing when people are offering, you have to say thank you and accept it. But the flip side of that is when you're feeling overwhelmed and nobody's offering and you need to ask. Right. And I know that's a little bit bigger of a challenge. So, I mean, Victoria, what would you say is kind of like a people expert? If somebody's feeling overwhelmed and needs help, what should they do?
Well, I mean, you pretty much said it. It is to ask. It is to ask. And again, to give yourself that grace and say, look, I know I need help. And most of the time, we're our own worst enemies, you know. And you said something earlier about, I don't think I've had this many. Usually it comes with a string attached and all of this stuff. And so you create that story, and then, or even past experiences, and you say, hey, can you help me out? Or and you choose people that you know are dependable. And then there are some people you don't know, but they want to step up for you, and just ask, you know. But that's the challenge, to get over that hurdle, to ask, because you know you wouldn't ask unless you really needed help.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it's important too.
That there are people who want to help you. There are people who want to support you, but they don't know how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you get that locked in your mind, that people want to support me, people want to, and I'm not going to take advantage of it, how can I allow them to help me? And one way is to, you know, and be very clear, you know, on what you need, if you can, because if you don't, then you could start the whole rumination again. Oh, but I said this is this, and they didn't offer. Well, not everybody is. If it's not explicit, it's gonna get missed. Like, someone needs to know how they can help you, because they may be thinking about it, but they may be in their mind like, well, no, she's not. She doesn't need that. She has this all together. Because maybe you've created, a lot of the times the people who do this have created this persona that they got everything under control. So then the other person doesn't know what they could possibly offer you, because they don't feel like they have anything to offer you, because you got everything not under control. So being explicit about and specific about the type of help that you need. And I guess Melanie would get into that. Like, don't feel like you have to be the person. Oh, and you see these mean, I don't know about you guys, but I see them all the time. Oh, you know, I'll do everything myself, and, you know, I don't need anybody's help type of things. And it's like, you're only hurting you.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I normally am. I'm normally the one who handles everything, and to just like let go and let people help over this last week has been very new, very different, very good, different, but different for me. Very different.
I mean, it's important to remember
is what makes people, if you wear it like a badge of honor and you do it, then people are like, well, she's or he's like this and he don't want help. Like, how are you supposed to offer help to a person who's putting it out there like that? So I always kind of like, please don't at least advertise and wear that like a badge of honor. You might be like that, but when the time comes, and it will, that you need help, then it's going to be very hard, even harder, to ask for help. And then that sets you up for a disaster, because then everything is going to have to break down around you before people realize that, oh, you needed help, because you would never ask for it. So you're going to have to hit complete rock bottom before anybody knows to help you.
Yeah. You don't want to assume what somebody's answer is going to be from either perspective, right? If your friend's parent just died and they're not asking for help and they're not reaching out, You just say, hey, I'm free on Tuesday. I was planning on bringing over a lasagna and some Caesar salad and a garlic bread. I'll run your vacuum around if you want that. I'll just leave it on the front porch if that's what you want. But here's what I'm doing. Right? Because then you give them the option as the person that's in pain to say, oh, we can't have lasagna. We have a garlic allergy. And then you go, oh, okay, well, how about Mexican or whatever it is, right? You make it very clear that you're here to help the person. And then whenever they try and fart you off, say, it can be however you want it done. I don't have to see you. We don't have to speak, or we can sit there and I'll listen to everything you have to say, but it's happening on Tuesday, right? Like that's the day that I have available for you, right? And then from the other perspective, if you're struggling, like this just happened to one of our students the other day. She reached out to me and to Christina and was like, to me, she was like, hey, I have like these 12 things that I have to get done, but I'm really just like stalling out on how to organize them. And I know that's your thing, is planning and prioritizing. I said, bitch, I'll be on campus in 20 minutes. When can you be on campus? And it took 20 minutes, bing, bang, boom. And then with you, she was discussing, well, she has all this in her business. How can she do cash injection without creating something new? And you're like, bitch, I'll be on campus. Hold on, I'll be right there. That sort of thing. Because she knows that if she sits here and spends her effort and time and energy on assuming how we're going to react, like that's policing other people. That's not a good use of your time. And I don't have extra time and energy lying around anywhere. I'm working on it, but I just don't have it yet. So don't assume what their reaction is going to be, because that's not your responsibility.
Yeah, I'd say the other kind of weird thing that happened was like not knowing what to ask for, which is another challenge. Because it's like there were times throughout this past week where I'm just like, I don't know what I need, and I'm just kind of like spinning out a little bit, and I'm thinking too much about things, and I'm like, I don't know. Right. And like David's mom was over here, my mother-in-law was over here kind of helping clean stuff out. And she's like, where do you want me to start? And I'm like, I just want everything out of here. I want everything out of here. I don't want anything left. I want it all out of this room. It can go in the garage. It can go, some stuff goes in the trash. It can go with you if there's any of it that you want, blankets or whatever. I'm like, but I just don't want it here. And that's all I know. I didn't know how. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to organize it. That was all I had, was like, this is the objective, and I don't know how we get to it. And then other people stepped up and helped me figure that out. Right. Yeah. Like Victoria reached out and she's like, what do we need to do for business stuff? And I'm like, I don't know. These people probably need to know, and we need to this with something maybe, but like, I don't know how to go about that. She's like, I got it. And so I just went about my stuff for the day while she handled all the business stuff. And then Melanie's like, hey, I'm here for you. If you want to chat, if you want to talk, if you want to, because Melanie's been here, done this with a parent that's gone. And so she's
I think the first thing I said to you was, welcome to the Dead Parent Club. And I was like, oh God, I hope that's not.
It made me laugh really hard though when you did it. So it's like, sometimes you just kind of have to know your friends and know that, sometimes the jokes are fine.
Yeah.
You know which ones are good. And yeah, that one gave me a pretty good chuckle.
I was because your dad decided to die on my birthday, first of all. So my first thought was, the universe is really tying us together karmically. Like, this is another thing to be like, oh yeah, remember when your dad died on my birthday and now we can never separate from each other ever again because that's just too strange. But it's when I woke up on my birthday and you had texted me happy birthday in the middle of the night. And I was like, why was she up at that time? And then I texted you back, thank you. And you texted me again. I was like, oh my God. And what is happening? These are not her hours. And that's when you told me. And I went, oh, damn.
Yeah, I was still awake at like 1:30 in the morning. And I was like, oh, it's officially Melanie's birthday. Yay, cool. And I was like, I'm going to text her real quick so she'll wake up to a little happy birthday text message. And then Dad passed away at like 3:30 in the morning. So I'm like slacking Victoria and Melanie with the Slack message that he had passed away. So Melanie got the text messages first. And then this. So I was like, oh man, yeah, I didn't think that through very well last night. But I mean, I did get the birthday message in before everything happened. So that was,
I mean, there's no good way to tell somebody, hey, my parent just died. There's really no good way to do it. My mom was actively dying. And it was still one of those things where when it actually happened, I messaged one person in my friend group and said, hey, it happened. I don't want to talk to anybody. Because because of my upbringing, I was told to go to my room and deal with my big emotions. So now one of the things I'm working through as a person is being able to express emotions in front of other people. So I just shut down, and the world was already shut down. It was April 2020. So I just said, one person, tell everybody I'm not going to be around for a little bit, start a new group chat, and I'll come back when I'm ready. And that's when they started sending like Grubhub gift certificates and shit like that. So, really knowing your audience too, and being like, okay, I have a person that I know will be able to take care of all of this and step up. I have a person that I know I can message with all the weird thoughts that are coming through to me that'll fully support me in what I'm going through. And then, really, really leaning and relying on those people, because it's only going to make you closer or show you that you weren't as close as you thought you were in the beginning.
And that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's okay. And that's, of course, losing both parents and a brother. We got it pretty much down, to the, and people show up. People show up, and then
even the neighbor lady was
those who don't.
With me when I checked the mail yesterday. I ended up just having an impromptu conversation with her for like 45 minutes. She's elderly. Her husband, David, also a David, passed away not long after we moved in over here.
Wow.
And then she's lost 2 kids, and her kids live down in Macon. So she just had a daughter pass away just a few weeks ago. And so we were sitting there talking at the mailbox, just I'm just going to check the mail and get my emotional support chickies out of the mailbox, and just impromptu conversation with her for 45 minutes. Her family doesn't live nearby, so we help her with stuff here and there. David's going to go crawl into her house and help with something this weekend.
Wow.
So and it's just, it comes from lots of different places. And it looks like we have a question from Rachel that is kind of related to this. So what are tangible ways to release yourself from codependency?
The first step is to shift your focus from other people to yourself. So the question is, how will this make me feel? How does this make me feel? Is this getting me closer to the life that I want to live?
No. And
that's true for unmasking and all that sort of stuff. But codependency is really just assuming that somebody else's good mood is your responsibility. And it's just not.
Yeah. I think most things are a spectrum too. So I think it's important to understand if it is actually codependency, or if you are feeling like, maybe you just, can't accept that support or that help, or you feel like you're leaning on somebody more than you should. Because I think we've seen both, right? So we've seen actual codependency, and then we've seen people that feel like they're being codependent because they're relying on somebody else. So understanding if it is actually a problem. I'm assuming because you're asking, it probably is a problem, but I have ran into some people that they're doing kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's too just accepting help, but they feel like they're being codependent on somebody.
Yeah.
Recovering codependent here. I didn't even know what that word meant. And I didn't know that I was codependent until I started the trauma healing. And I'm going to recommend the book. But because that is where, for me personally, where I started to learn more about it and learn the things that I was doing to feed it, because it was just, it was my normal way of operation. I didn't realize it was a trauma response. I didn't realize where it came from. So I'm going to recommend the book just so as a starting part of that healing process. And it's not a book that you just read like a novel, or it's more of like a self-guided therapy. Can I type in the chat here?
Yeah. I love the clicky noise.
I know, you're a good typer.
It's called Claim Your Power by Mastin Kipp. And it's a 40-day, it's a 40-day journey. And so each day you do a little bit each day. And then you start to self-reflect, and you start wearing, this is how I'm contributing to this. But it's subconscious a lot of times.
Yeah.
Most of the codependents don't really know that term and know that they're codependent. codependent. So you've evolved enough to understand what it is, and that you're possibly codependent. And then that's one place that helped me. And everything I needed after that just kind of came because I was ready to receive it by then.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of people on that book, and it's been really, really helpful. So hopefully it'll be helpful for you too.
Well, I mean, the right people in your life are going to lift you up instead of making you dependent on them. So, I mean, I had relationships before my current husband where I was very codependent on them, and it wasn't even necessarily, some of them were negative relationships, some of them weren't. But I was not in a good enough place to stand on my own 2 feet. I was leaning on them, right? So it's like my first husband, great guy, but I leaned on him and made him be there for me. He wasn't trying to be. Then we got, guy I dated after that, negative codependent relationship, not good. Then I met David. And whenever I tried to do any of the things that normally would have, made me more codependent or would have sabotaged a relationship, he just stood firm. He's like, I love you. I'm here for you. Like, what do you need? How can I lift you up? Or it's like, look, I know you think you need that, but you don't. Like, this is what, he just kind of gently guided me into growing up, so to speak, I guess, is kind of how it felt to me, because I felt like I'd been very childish and very immature for a lot of my life, because a lot of neurodivergents are. We didn't get what we needed when we were kids, so it takes us a little bit longer to mature.
Your confidence wasn't there. What was the name of your first business again?
Little Old Me Designs, or Little Old Me LLC. I had both.
Little Old Me LLC.
Yeah. I never really anticipated being bigger than me. And that was just it. And it was just my little side thing that I was going to do. And it was very, very tiny, not very big. So, I mean, having the right person in your life, David really pushed me in the right ways. He was there for me when I really needed it, but he would push me to be there for myself when I didn't need him to be.
Yeah.
So it was really good.
That also, when you're a codependent, healthy feels wrong. Yeah. You're like I was so used to giving and giving and giving, and if they didn't respond like a certain way, like I was so dependent on, I took over other people's emotional states.
Yeah.
I took that as my responsibility, and it wasn't. And my emotional state was, and no one likes to feel like that. No one likes to feel like, oh, okay, if this person is in a good mood, okay, we're good. Yeah. But if they're not, our entire world is shut down until they're good again. And like you said, it's not always someone trying to do that, but the ones that are not healthy, who are or codependent with you, then it seems like, oh, we're in sync until one starts to heal, which is what happened to me. And one started to heal. And the therapist we had at the time, she said something, because the person was like, what is codependency? And she said, codependence is when you're both in the hole and one person wants you to stay in the hole with them because you're in the hole. Yeah. But a healthy person would say, you know what, I'm going to get out of the hole and I'm going to pull you out of the hole. But that codependent relationship, no, you stay in the hole with me.
Yeah. You that was the big difference I saw with David, was he was the, like, I'm climbing out and I'm going to lift you up kind of vibe. And it was, it's a lot different. I mean, like Melanie said, it's another person's not going to get you out of it. You have to get you out of it. I had to make sure in my relationships. And did David help heal me? Yeah, of course he did. But he helped me heal me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He couldn't force healing upon me.
No.
Yeah.
He helped me work through it and talk through it and figure out what I needed to do to get more confident in myself. His belief in me helped me believe in me. But
there's a saying that says, this one really rocked me to my core. It's, if anybody is going to come along and save you, it's always going to be yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's so important in life and business, in every aspect of what we're doing here on earth. You have to remember that, and this is the cheesy way to say it, you have to put your own oxygen mask on first before you can help anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, by the way, tell me why every time I've been on a flight with my children and I watch the flight attendants, they have always come right up to me and gone, okay, mom, and like made eye contact with me and pointed at me and said, you put yours on first before you put it on your kids. And I said, okay. And I watch them say it to moms. They never say it to the dads. They never, ever say it to the dads, because the dad's going to go, oh shit, and put his on and then be like, oh wait, I came here with a family, and try and fucking figure out where everybody is. They always look you in the eye when you're a mom, because we're just conditioned, especially in the Western world, to self-abandon to take care of everybody else, right? Like, I'm not gonna, I forget who says this. It's like a poet or a piece of poetry. You know what I mean? And it's that I'm gonna stop putting myself on fire to keep you warm. Like, I'm not gonna put myself on fire to keep you warm anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this leads into a good next question. What are the top strategies for maintaining focus amidst chaos? So even in the situation of being in a codependent relationship, that is a version of chaos. If you're running behind on deadlines, if you have, I know like we're using, my recent example of a parent passing away, but there's lots of other things that derail us and set us back and can, take us off course. Something as simple as a little cold, getting a little bit sick, having allergies act up, not getting a good night's sleep creates a version of chaos for the next day. Right. So it doesn't have to be, somebody died, emergencies to create chaos in our life. It can even be that I didn't have my favorite flavor of breakfast cereal this morning, and it's the same cereal I've been eating for the last 3 months. And now I'm starting my day off without the right. And, like it can create chaos. So whenever we're dealing with that, like, how do you maintain focus when that happens? I mean, I know for me, one of the biggest things that I've started doing is slowing down. Like Victoria was mentioned earlier, like I just slow down. I just stop for just a second. And like, what is the most important thing right now? Right. I'm not trying to worry about what am I doing in an hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, tomorrow, later, like throughout this whole process with, trying to get dad's arrangements made and everything. Everybody's like, well, when are we doing this? When are we doing this? And I'm like, I don't know. I have not gotten to that decision yet. I'm doing this decision first, then this, and then this, and then I don't know. We'll get to that when I get closer. So just slowing down and being like, what is most important right now in this moment for me to be doing? And, sometimes the answer to that was sleep. I'm going to go sleep. That's the most important thing for me to do right now is I need to sleep. All right. Sometimes it's, I'm going to do a load of dishes, or I'm going to ask somebody to do something, or I'm going to, whatever, but whatever, just stop. Whenever you've got chaos, you immediately go into like a version of panic and fight and flight. And you start moving and moving and moving and moving and moving, and you don't stop until you literally run out of steam.
Yeah.
So stop, figure out the most important thing in the moment, and then do that. And then just repeat. Just every time you finish one thing, just stop. What's next?
It's why knowing your capacity is so important. You got to know what you're capable of, right? Like, I know if I get shit sleep and one of the kids gets to school late and, my back hurts or something, I'm like, we're going to move some calls around. We're just going to go for a walk. That's what we're going to do. We're going to contact everybody and say I had an 11 o'clock and I'm not going to be able to make it. Hey, honey, I'm going to message my client and say, hey, something came up. Does this time or this time or this time work for you, right? So I'm going to message people and give them my options so that they can't be like, well, why can't you go? None of your business. Can't happen. I can't give you enough of my attention and effort that I promised in our deal of working together. And I'm just going to go do this, right? So really being like we said earlier before the call, if you have 30% effort and you give 100% of that 30% effort, you gave 100% today. But you have to know what your capacity is and be able to identify it in that moment in time.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important in chaos to do that kind of stop and check in, because your capacity is changing. You might have started off that morning feeling like I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm focusing on. This is the objective for the day. And then as time moves forward, your capacity changes. You're like, I woke up with really good energy, but here I am now. It's like 2:00 in the afternoon and I'm out of steam. Right. Yeah. So it's like, I'm going to stop and I'm going to check in with myself. What is the most important thing right now with the energy that I have, the focus that I have? And I thought it was going to be this, but it's not now. Now it's going to be sleep. I'm going to go sleep for an hour or two. I'm going to go, piddle around with something where I can sit down instead of running around, because we've been moving furniture and everything, moving rooms around after Dad passed away because he was on the main floor master suite. So everybody's kind of moving in the house. And it's like, I had very optimistic goals at the beginning of the day for we're going to accomplish this, and this. And then by 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm like, if we just make it to here and then we call it a day, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and that's giving yourself grace. That one challenge is doing this when there's other people.
Yeah.
Or you got a team of people. And again, it's just pausing, because what most of the other people are going to do is they're going to freak out.
Yeah.
They're going to freak out. They're going to go off the rails. They're going to do this. And you have to still pause, and just center yourself.
Yeah.
Even though the chaos is going around you, because most people, at least in, a lot of people are not able to regulate their own emotions, right?
You don't have to be calm, but you got to be regulated.
You got to be regulated.
Yeah.
And again, this is something, trauma healing, to learn to regulate, because when you're codependent, you're not regulating your own emotions. You're dependent on somebody else to regulate your emotions. So learning that other people's stuff is their stuff.
Yeah.
It's not your stuff. And so pausing and allowing them to, not be disrespectful, but at the same time realizing that they got their own stuff that's coming up and they're triggered and everything, and not to internalize their stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it's not even about you, sometimes you got 2 fighting team members, or 2 or 3 or whatever, and they're fighting and they're chaotic, they're creating all this chaos, and pausing a lot of times will actually diffuse the situation a lot, at least for you to just say, okay. And sometimes, you just have to let people just calm down, and allow them that space to do what they need to do. And sometimes you just have to walk away and say, you know what, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to walk away from this right now. I need some time to do this.
Yeah.
Because especially if somebody is coming at you or whatever, and you're like, okay, I know this is your stuff, but I have to protect my energy as well. So you can stand here and continue to go off, but I'm going to go over here and rest my nerves. Yeah. And not engage. Do not engage with that until somebody is ready to engage with you in a way that's respectful and calm. And, that's one of the things because she was like, this person is saying this. I said, do not engage. Disengage. And that was the only thing, because they need that negative energy to continue. They need your energy to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But it's hard to do that by yourself.
Yeah. When I know, when people started talking about emotional regulation, like Melanie's talked about it and stuff like that, I didn't really know what it was or how to recognize, how do you know when you're emotionally regulated? And I'd say one of the biggest things that became very obvious for me was when I don't react, I can stay calm. So when somebody else is having big emotions and I don't join them in the emotional pool, and I can just keep myself calm, not get into that chaos and drama and heightened emotions with them, that to me was one of the biggest signs I was emotionally regulated. Even in everything we've been dealing with over the last week, being able to stop and check in with, my aunt, and check in with my kids, and check in with David, and be like, how are you doing? How are you? Are you okay? Yeah. And giving them the space to talk, and giving them the space to share, and not getting, turning their moment of sharing into my emotional meltdown. And that's been huge. It's like we've got a question from Rachel that kind of ties into that. She's saying, I'm curious, what are tools that you guys use to regulate your own emotions? Melanie, you want to lead with that one?
First and foremost, on that subject of protecting your energy, be careful who you're happy around. Don't be happy around unhappy people, right? We preach about unmasking and being authentic and allowing you to be yourself everywhere you go, but that means you have to figure out when to shut the fuck up, right? If you're in a room filled with people who are committed to misunderstanding you, who don't have the same beliefs as you, anybody who's going to say, oh, ADHD, that's not real, just be quiet. Just let those people talk for a little bit. Don't try and explain yourself to somebody who's not caring to believe it.
Yeah, trolls on the internet. That's one of the prime examples for that one.
It's family members for most of us. It's, it's a lot easier to turn a client into a friend than it is to turn a friend into a client. And on that level, the story of if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one starts escaping, the others will pull it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you really got to be mindful. But to regulate, you got to move your body. You got to move your body, especially if you're neurodivergent, because you get all sorts of energy trapped all over the place. And I thought I was having anxiety when all actuality, I just have to walk 15,000 steps a day. That's it. I got to move. And be careful what media you're taking in. Well, I was watching Real Housewives of New York City before we came on here, and I have to literally fast forward through like 3 or 4 of those women because they're so dysregulated.
Yeah.
It's not even nice to watch.
Yeah, I like that one. You have to be very mindful of what you're taking in from your environment. You have that control most of the time. The music you listen to, the TV shows you watch, like what you are what you're engaging in on social media, like.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we don't realize what we're taking in from our environment. Like, you don't realize how certain shows are making you feel, or like Melanie just said, she fast forwards through certain people. Most people don't realize that those people are setting you off in some way. Yeah. Like, I started noticing some of the shows that I was watching, just like background shows, had a little bit too much drama and big emotions, and I was just like, and so I ended up back at like Golden Girls. I'm like, I just need some happy comedic background. I know, right? And I was like, I just want some feel good stuff. And it's like, if you go back to the old shows, like the old shows before they could have the big emotions and the big negative dramas and all the things, like Golden Girls and other shows from back then, it's, Full House, like all those shows. Like, I was noticing that like my mood was better when I had some background music like that. And I know one thing that, none of us really has a problem with, because our kids are all either no kids or kids are older or, stuff like that. So we have a little bit more control over our environment than some people in our audience do. People who have like little kids or work, muggle jobs, boring jobs where like you can't control your environment there. You have to create a space where you can, right? You have to create your escape. Yeah. Headphones is one of the big ways to do it when you're out in public. There's those like loop headphones so that it deadens some of the sound, but you can still hear. I use some open air headphones so I can still hear around me, but they just kind of sit right to the outside of my ear. There's bunches of those out nowadays. There's bone conduction headphones. There's the ones like Melanie's wearing headphones right now. That little headband thing is headphones. So
my headband headphones, Amazon, $20. Go get them. I have them in every color.
I didn't even know they had it before you. I'm like, that's so cool.
My beanie has headphones too in it. It's just too hot right now to wear a beanie.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's lots of different ways you can do that. You can control, like when my kids were little, one of the things that I did on a regular basis was at least a few days a week, sometimes every day of the week, depending on how stressful it was. I would go take a bath and I would tell my husband, I'm like, if I see fingers under that door, you are dead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be in there for an hour. I'm taking my favorite book, a good drink, a snack, bubbles. Like, this is me time. And I don't want to hear banging on the doors. I don't want to hear kids screaming or yelling. You take them to the other side of the house. I don't want to see little fingers under the doors. I don't want to nothing. Like, this is me time.
And you created that,
Yeah.
One of the things when I was working with Master, and he had a client that they established Goddess Hour.
Mm-hmm.
And at first,
writing that down,
was like totally against it. So for that hour, she did absolutely nothing. Or whatever she wanted to do. They couldn't talk to her. They couldn't bother her. That was her hour. And I was like, oh, only an hour. But after a certain amount of time, he was protecting Goddess Hour. Just like, no, because of the benefits that came back. Because she was able to, he took care of everything for that hour. And then she had more energy for herself and for him. and, you know, everyone else. But at Goddess Hour time, it was, you know,
I mean, some
the kids
people
could
who
not.
don't have that kind of support in their life, don't have somebody that would give you that hour. There are other ways to get it. So, like, we've had students that took that me time after they dropped their kids off at daycare and they just spent it in their car. We had one student who used her gym membership and didn't go to the gym because the gym had a daycare and they had a little spot with Wi-Fi where she could sit and work. So she would just go and take her kid to the gym, and her kid would go play in the little like playroom at the gym while she sat in the gym and worked. And that was her hour to herself where she could have a little snack and a little drink and a little, like, you know, be out and around normal people while the kids were off in daycare. And, you know, little stuff like that. Like, it is a solvable problem for almost anybody in life to be able to claim back, you know, 30 minutes here, an hour there throughout the week to get your own sanity. Like, it is solvable. It may seem difficult. It may seem impossible depending on what's going on in your life, but you can do it.
Yeah.
And you have to do it, because if you don't get that space to decompress, then you end up doing bad things like revenge bedtime procrastination.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, if people understood that overstimulation in the acute capacity means you're irritable and angry and it's hard to control your emotions. But in the long term, like if you have overstimulation chronically, you get sick. We all get all this chronic illness that is plaguing, especially women in our country and all over the Western world, is because we were betraying ourselves over and over and over again. And finally your body and brain says, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're going to pay the price.
Things like staying up late. Like, I used to stay up a lot. I still stay up late. I'm more of a night owl kind of person, but I used to stay up a lot later, like 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning instead of like midnight, 1 a.m. And it's because that was my quiet time. Everybody else was in the bed finally. Like, most of the people in my house are night owls, except for like David. He would go to bed much earlier if I would let him most nights. But I stayed up later because that was when I got my quiet time. But then I was still like beating myself up for not getting up and going at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning and getting my day going. You know, early morning routines, like, or so all these entrepreneurs talk about. That's their secret to success. And it's like, your body's gonna make you take that time. Like, me and Melanie used to talk about that a lot. Like, you're gonna take that downtime, that rest time, by force or by choice. You're either going to get sick, your brain's going to sabotage you and you're not going to be able to go to sleep, or you're going to wake up early before everybody else wakes up, or you're going to just break down and just have to get away from people. Like, if you've ever had this moment where you're like, I just can't with you people anymore. And like, you leave and you just go drive for like an hour, you know, or you just go lock yourself in a room or a closet. Like, that is by force. You're taking that downtime by force instead of by choice. Yep. You're waiting until you can't do anything else but shut down.
Yeah.
Like, if you're proactive about it, that was one of the big ahas that Melanie told me when we first started working together. It was like, it's force or choice. Like, you can either have a say in when it happens and how it happens, and you can enjoy the downtime, or you can wait until your brain takes you out.
Yeah.
You can't function. And for me, that would look like sitting here and trying to make myself work in front of my computer, and I couldn't work. My brain just took me out. It wouldn't do the things I wanted it to do. So instead of sitting here and trying to make myself work, get up, go lay in a bed, go take a little nappy nap, go horizontal for a minute, watch a TV show, go grab a book, go for a walk, go for a drive. I wasn't working, but it was productive. I wasn't going to work anyway. I could sit there and force myself, but I wasn't going to work anyway, you know? Okay. So I think that was one of those, like, because you feel like, I don't have enough time to take an hour out, but if you pay attention, you're taking an hour out anyway.
Yeah, obsessing over.
Well, it's important to remember you started the business to have free time.
Right.
You didn't start the business to be a stressed out wreck and nightmare all the time.
Yeah. You start a business because you want freedom. You want freedom to choose what you do with your time, how you do it, where you spend it. And then you lose all of that and give it to the business and let the business start running you. And that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And we wanted to have fun. Yeah. Like, most of the people that I know, they had something they were having fun with, and they tried to turn it into a business. You know, they wanted to have fun. They wanted to do it more. And then we put off fun until we've made X amount of money, or until we get this thing launched, or until we do that. We're going to not have fun. And it's like, I didn't realize just how much of my joy and fun I had given away until I started working with Melanie. It was about like a year and a half ago now or something like that. And it's, I realized just how much of my fun was gone, and I started to find it again. I started to little stupid stuff like stimming while I'm like in the kitchen and I'm doing the rhubarb Barbara dance because it's on a loop in my head and will not go away. I do have most of that dance down now, but I don't know how to dance, so it's very awkward and very weird. But I can do most of the rhubarb Barbara dance now. But like just stimming, dancing around in my kitchen. Yeah, I don't think Victoria's on TikTok quite as much. So you probably have not gotten a For You page covered in the rhubarb Barbara dance.
No, I have not.
That's all I can remember.
German tongue twister.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I took all of the social media apps off of, I got a new phone recently, and I don't have any social media apps. I guess unless you consider WhatsApp that, but other than that, they're not on here.
I wouldn't know what to do without the TikTok on my phone.
I wouldn't even want the phone. I'd be like, no, sir, there's nothing on here for me. Put my shit on there.
That's how I keep myself together, because otherwise I won't get anything done. They're on this phone, but I got logged out in some kind of way and I never logged back in. But I don't use that phone anymore. I use this one mainly. And freedom.
See, I need to.
So I have to physically,
to keep me
Cousin posted something like that. It took me a long time before you have to know what takes your energy and what, fuels it and everything. And and it's not bad stuff. It's just distracting. And then when I get distracted and I don't get the work done and I do this, then I go into this thing that this is what started it, because now I'm not getting the stuff I need to get done because I've distracted myself over here. Now I'm like, I got to do all of this stuff. And now I'm like, so it's not there.
Well, that's a big part of it, that self-troubleshooting. Like it starts with, that awareness of like, I don't like when this happens. What caused this? What was the sequence of events that led up to this? And then what can I do to change it so that we can disrupt that sequence and not experience the bad? That is literally a big part of like wellness, mindset, business growth, entrepreneurship. Problem solving is the thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
adaptability,
intentional problem solving instead of like reactive problem solving.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest differences, because a lot of entrepreneurs that I meet, it's reactive problem solving. It's like, well, you mentioned earlier one of our students that needed a cash injection and was trying to figure out what they could do to get it. And their first thing was, I'm going to go launch new things. And it's like, that was reactive problem solving. It's like, I'm having some stress. I'm having some stuff go on. I need to do something different than everything I've been doing, instead of maybe figure out a new way to sell what I've already got.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like slowing down for a second and doing intentional problem solving and like, what is the actual goal? And like, that's what I did with her. And I sat down and walked through it. And I'm like, okay, so what does a cash injection look like? How much do you need? How fast do you need it? Is it like a just right now situation? Or is it like you need your monthly to increase by a certain amount? Or like, what is the actual problem that we're trying to solve for? And not just, I need money.
Yeah.
Right. How much money, how fast, what type of money, project money, recurring money, what type of money are we looking for here? Like actually understanding the problem before you set out to solve for it. That's intentional problem solving instead of reactionary. And I think that's a skill that, like we said, slow down, think it through, then solve the problem.
Yeah.
How has it already been an hour, y'all?
I know. And
we powered through so many questions today.
I know.
So many
good at this.
Let's see. How do I?
Another?
All the banners.
Yeah,
that was one of the other ones. I didn't know I could have two banners turned on at the same time. I only showed one, but they were both turned on at the same time. So that's cool. All right, guys. Well, we are at the top of the hour. So, yay. All right. I'm going to put our thingy up on the screen here. If you want to make sure that you don't miss a single episode, go subscribe. You can submit questions. Like you've seen some of the questions that were submitted, answered on the show today. You can submit the questions, even if you cannot come live. Subscribe, hit reply on the email. Let us know whatever questions you have. That is at neurospicyacademy.com/show. And then make sure you head over there, or what? Hang on, Melanie. What was our pitch for the PGA party? You just did it so beautifully on your live today.
We're hosting quarterly planning, growth, and accountability parties. Our first one is this Friday from 3 to 5 Eastern. It's open to the public. Just bring your beautiful face, message us on any of our social platforms, Christina on social media, me on social media, Victoria on social media, the Neuro-Spicy Academy. You can email us. You can go on our website and fill in the chat bot. There's no reason to not contact us. And we'll send you the Zoom link. It'll be a super great time. We're going to cover our own unique methodology for taking care of planning for yourself, planning for your business, and planning for your clients and or your team. So we make sure we cover all of those bases. And then every month we will have a check-in party for students only. So you want to come, you want to check it out. We're also going to show you the beautiful campus and show you around because it's so fun and so cool. And my words don't do it justice. So we're really looking forward to that. We will have an official sign-up page soon. But as you heard, if you watched this whole episode, we had some shit go down these past couple of weeks and we have had to adapt. So we hope to see you there. And it's going to be a good time. We've decided to call all of our meetings parties from now on because we need novelty and interest. And I also just like to have a good time. So do these women. So everything that we do from now on that's a get together is a party.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Got to bring that fun in everywhere that you can get it. So yeah, send us messages.
Everywhere.
We will have a landing page up soon. Uh-oh. Where'd she go?
Did we lose Mel? Oh,
there she is. So yeah, send us a message. We'll drop you that link. We'll have a landing page up soon on the website at some point this week, hopefully.
When it happens. You'll see it when it happens.
Yep. Yes. Real life, y'all. So yeah, head on over to neurospicyacademy.com/show to subscribe to the show, to find out all the other amazing stuff on the website. Send us a message to get that link for the PGA party. And then we will see you back here next week for a new topic. So send your questions over and we'll see you next week. Bye guys.